circulation with this. I think it's primarily between Bloomingdale and Glendale Heights and extending over towards Addison, heading towards places to the east like Bensonville, and eventually possibly getting up towards O'Hare and Franklin Park. There will be a big wind gust here very shortly around O'Hare, probably not as strong as what we saw just in the last half hour or so as the storm moved through Kane and Kendall counties, but nonetheless, enough to possibly cause certainly some flight delays and obviously some damage. That's the greater concern. We continue with this tornado warning. That's why we're on. We're going to see if they are going to continue it. Right now, they have not canceled it, at least not yet. I'm just not seeing the rotation like we were seeing earlier. But every time we look, we got to make sure that we don't see anything. So we step this back. There it was earlier, right there. You see the little, almost like a hook on velocity. But as we step that forward, just keep an eye on that area as we step it and watch it move to the northeast. And it kind of just disappears. So currently the circulation where most are near Itasca and moving towards O'Hare. So let's focus in on Itasca and head up towards O'Hare, the northern parts of DuPage County. And we're just not seeing anything that pronounced. You get these little spin-ups, they appear for a while and then they disappear. Let's see on reflectivity if we pick up any signs of rotation or stronger winds. Yeah, and there you see the cell. Here's Elk Grove Village. O'Hare is right there. So this is the part of the storm that we're watching now. But, you know, I want to put this into motion. Let me just save this image and step it back. And look how bright it was. That was when the storm was looking at its most impressive. As it went through Sugar Grove, as it went through Aurora, that's when we were seeing some very strong winds. And when we step this forward, there's when we had the brief tornado around Warrenville. And we continue to move this forward. Still a lot of lightning and some very strong winds along the leading edge of this, but we're not seeing as much red with it. So I think the storm has weakened somewhat as it's moving to the east. Still, we have that tornado warning, and it still is in effect. It hasn't been scaled back now. It is in effect for nearly 20 more minutes. And here's I-355. Here's Westmont. You get the idea. I-88 on north, just to the south of I-88, it does include, but north of Ogden Avenue, up towards and just south and west of O'Hare, that's where we have the tornado warning. It does include places like Bensonville, Addison, Bloomingdale, Glendale Heights, and let's see, does it still include it? Just about Glen Ellen is also included in this. So that's the area we still have that tornado warning in effect. I'm just trying to give you an idea, and they just now canceled the warning for DuPage County. I think that was a wise move. We just weren't seeing the circulation like we were earlier. You can see that storm, though, as it's moving through DuPage County and getting very close to O'Hare here in the city. We're going to see that storm arrive in about 15 to 20 to maybe 25 miles, 25 minutes, and it could produce some strong winds. If we get any more tornado warnings, we'll cut back in and give you the latest. Right now, no tornado warnings are in effect. We had that brief tornado around Warrenville, but we are concerned with some strong winds as these storms cross the tri-state, head up towards O'Hare. It'll be interesting to see what kind of wind gust we get at O'Hare. To be honest with you, what I was doing just before this, and I got it back in the weather office, I was collecting information on wind gusts because we were watching this line. Sugar Grove, Big Rock, Aurora, probably Naperville having winds gusting anywhere from 45 to 65 miles per hour. So we probably have some damage with these storms. But now we do not have that tornado warning, thank goodness. But we continue to see the strongest storm now moving into the northeastern part of DuPage County. We've also had 1 to 1.5 inches of rain in the heaviest part of the storm, so there probably is some localized street flooding. There you see it in Bloomingdale, the brighter red showing up. This is moving to the northeast at about 45 miles per hour. That's where O'Hare is. The part that's heading towards O'Hare is down there towards Addison. That part's not as strong. So I think Elk Grove, Mount Prospect, Wheeling, you're about to get the worst of the storm here, probably within the next 5 minutes or so, as the strongest winds are right along the leading edge of that storm. So we're going to continue to watch this. I'm just seeing if we have any kind of idea of any kind of rotation, which we're just not seeing. And I'm trying to see in the brighter colors, that bright red up in near Bloomingdale. Let's take a sample of that, see if there's any strong winds with it. Yeah, 44 miles per hour, probably some stronger points in there. So that's certainly the strongest part of the storm and the area that we still are somewhat concerned with. But thank goodness it's straight line winds. It's not showing any signs, at least right now, of significant rotation. So yes, you have strong winds here. The red is because it's moving away from our radar site, but just to the east of Schaumburg now, very close to 290, heading towards Elk Grove Village and Mount Prospect. That's where we're going to see some strong winds. The tornado warning, though, no longer in effect. That is certainly the good news. But we continue with the severe thunderstorm watch, and you can see where that is in effect. That encompasses virtually the entire area with the exception of northwest Indiana. This was extended eastward just about 45 minutes ago as it became apparent that these severe storms were going to be moving into the area. That will be in effect until 10 o'clock. So that's in for another half hour. Then we'll get some garden variety thunder showers and storms, especially south, but the severe risk will be greatly diminished. And you can see it's still a pretty good storm there, but as we step this back, look how it looked there. And we step it forward, and you can see clearly the heaviest part of the storm is up there towards Bloomingdale, moving towards Schaumburg, and eventually they're either going to have to issue another severe thunderstorm warning or let this go. But, you know, getting some pretty good downpours and probably some good winds, gusts around Itasca. Let's see where the severe thunderstorm warnings are in effect. And you can see Cook County now under a severe thunderstorm warning. That does include the city. Let's see when that's in effect until 10 o'clock. That might have to be extended a little bit. Here back in DuPage County, and it will be expiring in 15 minutes. The tornado warning was replaced with a severe thunderstorm warning, as we're just not seeing the rotation that we were seeing earlier. So in any case, dangerous line of storms moving right across the heart of the area. The strongest storm continues to be in northeast DuPage County and heading into Cook County as we speak. There you see it around Bloomingdale, extending northeastward. You see those brighter reds showing up and quite a bit of lightning up around Medina and heading right towards you folks in Mount Prospect. We do have lightning on our camera, did you say? Okay, let's take a look at that. Now, which camera is this? Oh, out at O'Hare. Yeah, look at that ominous sky. And this is the gust front that's right along the leading edge of that storm. The winds there, let's take a closer look at where O'Hare is on radar. You can see what they're about to get right there. Yeah, they're going, the worst of it is going to pass just to their north. But they will likely get, I'm guessing that there will be a gust anywhere from 45 to 60 miles per hour at O'Hare here very briefly as that storm moves through. So just to give you an idea, I want to focus in on where O'Hare is to give you an idea of right about there. That's O'Hare right here, okay? The biggest part of the storm is up there. You can see the lightning on our split screen here, but the biggest part of the storm is just a little bit, not heading right towards O'Hare, which is there, but heading just to the north of O'Hare, up towards Mount Prospect. We'll get it. The part of the storm that's heading towards O'Hare is down here towards Addison. Notice we're not seeing the bright reds with that, but let's see the wind field with those. Focus in more to the east and up, and you see the winds. The brighter reds there on the just east of Schaumburg now, heading towards Mount Prospect, that brighter red. Let's take a sample of that, some kind of winds we're getting. 47, yeah, so we're still talking some significant winds, not a lot of shear with this, thank goodness, so the tornado threat becomes less with that, but you can get these brief spin-ups with it. So let's see, the damaging wind threat is showing signs of developing over northwest Cook County. Portion of this is surging northeast at 40 and could produce 60-mile-per-hour winds. So that's what we're talking about. And the greatest concern would be north of O'Hare. That's where I think we could see some significant wind damage as these storms move to the northeast at a pretty good clip. So we plot out some of the communities that I'm going to put a storm track on this just to give you an idea of the communities that will be affected by these stronger winds. So from here to Elk Grove, that's where we're getting the strong winds. We'll put that to the northeast. So these are some of the communities that are going to see the winds really picking up. Arlington Heights, you're about to get it, let's see, what time is 9? In just a few minutes, your winds are really going to pick up. And closer to 9:50 in Northfield and 9:55 in Winnetka as this storm continues to lift to the northeast. That's if it doesn't weaken as it does so. Right now, clearly the strongest part of the storm is right up there. And you can see it's moving northeast of Bloomingdale, about to be mainly in Cook County, in the northern part of Cook County. There you see Rosemont, to the west of Rosemont, heading up towards Wheeling, heading up towards Arlington Heights, and still storming pretty heavily around the Bloomingdale area. And you can see all of our severe thunderstorm warnings. Let's move this map and get a better view of it for where we have the severe thunderstorm warnings. And you can see there's actually 3 of them. Let's see when these expire. The one for, oh, there. It looks like they're canceling that one. Let me see. This went blank on me. Looks like I'm going to have to log back in to get that, unfortunately. But we do Cook County. That's in effect till 10. And till 10:15 for the southeastern part of Lake County. So this is live TV. I got to log back in to get what we call our weather chat. So just give me 1 second. Bear with me. Okay, we have a picture out of Lombard that we can go to. Okay, let's see what we have in Lombard as far as their storm track. Is that Storm Tracker out there? Okay, Storm Tracker traveling in Lombard. The worst is over in Lombard. The worst is now north of Lombard. But you can see still a pretty good rainstorm going on there. And we are continuing to watch. Let's see. They canceled the warning for Will County. That's why it was flashing like that. But much of DuPage County, the north and east part of DuPage County, is still under that severe thunderstorm warning for about 10 more minutes. That might get canceled as well. Let me get rid of all this stuff on here so you can see what we have here. Boom, boom, and boom. So yes, so this part right here, that's in effect until 9:45. This part, including the city, that's in effect until 10. You folks in this part of Lake County, that severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until 10:15. Winds will likely in places gust to about 60 miles per hour. Not as strong as earlier, but we took a sample just a few minutes ago and we're getting some winds close to 50 miles per hour as it lifts to the northeast. So let's take a closer look now up towards Elk Grove. Take a sample there. 51 miles per hour. So you get the idea. Some very strong winds with this. Not a lot of shear, but it's heading to the northeast. So you folks in Highland Park, you're going to see your winds picking up here very shortly as well. So again, a dangerous situation, but the good news is we no longer have a tornado warning. The bad news is we have these severe thunderstorm warnings continuing, and when you get a line or a cell like this, it is possible that you get another tornado, albeit briefly, along these. And even if you don't get a tornado, we're talking about winds 50, at times maybe 60, 65 miles per hour. That's nearly as strong as some EF0 tornadoes, and it can be over a much broader area. So keep that in mind as well. Here in the city, this is the cell that's heading towards the city. So we kind of have what we call a split cell. There's this one. This is the stronger of the two. This is the one that caused that tornado in the Warrenville area a little bit earlier, albeit a brief one, and has been producing some very strong winds. This one, not quite as strong, but it's heading right for the downtown area, and it's going to be here in about 10 to 15 minutes, and we're going to see the winds really pick up here, at least briefly, and we're going to see a fair amount of lightning. But the worst is now moving northeast, excuse me, of Bloomingdale. We focus in on that. And you can see the heavy rains, possibly some localized flooding as well, east of Schaumburg, around Elk Grove Village, Itasca, Medina, all getting in on this and lifting towards Mount Prospect. There you see Wheeling is going to get hit by the storm and just about to move into Des Plaines and then eventually getting up towards Northbrook and Wheeling as we get closer to the top of the hour. So I'm just looking over because Heisel is here and she worked this morning and you're working tomorrow morning too. So
O'Hare 58. O'Hare did gust 58.
58?
Yeah.
So 58 mile per hour gust at O'Hare. And interestingly enough, that's the cutoff for a severe thunderstorm warning.
Right at 60.
Pardon?
I said right at 60.
Right at 60?
I said no, I said 58.
Oh, okay. So we have a camera view from where? Did you say Schaumburg? Okay, let's take a look at that Schaumburg camera. Because Schaumburg got hit pretty good a little bit earlier. And you can see it's still pouring rain out there. Just to give you an idea where Schaumburg is on this. Pulling out. There's Schaumburg. So Schaumburg kind of on the back edge of the heaviest rain. Here's 290 though. The heaviest is now, where 290 hits the 355 is along and just east of that from Itasca northward up towards Mount Prospect. That's the heaviest part of this storm right now with the strong winds on the leading edge of that. So Mount Prospect, you're getting the strong winds right now. Wheeling, your winds are going to start to pick up. And eventually, this is going to affect communities to the northeast, including Des Plaines, about to see their winds pick up. Northfield, you'll see your winds pick up here in about 5-10 minutes. And Highland Park, if the storm stays severe, you'll see your strongest winds probably closer to the top of the hour. So there's where you see the severe thunderstorm watch that's in effect. Earlier, it did not include the city or much of our area, but they did expand it eastward as this line of storms. And I want to show you how this line of storms moved across the area. Let's pull on out. Step this back.
And just as that line did pass through Naperville, we're getting a report that there was a 4-inch diameter tree limb down on West Street, and that was around 9 p.m.
A tree down?
A tree down.
Does it give any wind gusts? Or is that...
It doesn't. That's just in Naperville. Yeah, as that line did pass through.
Yeah, we've had several reports before the storms reached Naperville of gusts of 60 to 65 miles per hour that moved through places like Sugar Grove, Oswego, Big Rock. You folks saw some of the strongest winds we've seen. But now that storm is getting very close to the city. But again, the heaviest part of the cell is passing just to the north of O'Hare and up into Elk Grove and Mount Prospect. You're getting the worst of the storm. Let's see if we can get a velocity display up there now. There's Elk Grove. And we take a sample. Let me save it before I do that so I don't lose it. And there's O'Hare's report, 58. And take a sample around Mount Prospect. You see 50 miles per hour. Now granted, this is above the surface slightly, but not by much. And yeah, so 45, 50. So gusts are likely going to be in that 55 to 60 mile per hour category. So towards the bottom end of what classifies as a severe thunderstorm. What we haven't seen with this, a little bit surprising, are any reports of truly large and damaging hail, thank goodness. What we have seen is that brief tornado around Warrenville a little bit earlier. That's what spawned the tornado warning for DuPage County. That since has clearly dissipated, but we're still somewhat concerned that there could be another tornado warning as we get this storm moving northeastward. So that's the main concern. Right now, I'm not seeing any signs of rotation. That's certainly good news, but it doesn't take much to spawn a tornado with these kind of storms. So there's the main storm just to the south of Wheeling, extending back towards Bloomingdale. And that's the shot, I believe, from O'Hare, showing some of the lightning probably just to the north and northwest of O'Hare. O'Hare is still getting hit pretty hard, but there's also this part of the storm, and this is getting very close to the city. So here in about maybe 5 to 10 minutes, we're going to get a big wind gust, and we're going to get a pretty good downpour. We'll see if we get any damaging winds, because this part of the storm is also quite strong. If we look at the velocity display down there, let's see what the winds are heading towards the city with that cell. So we look down towards Cicero, 47, 46, yeah, so we're going to get a pretty good wind gust here in the city here in just about 5 to 10 minutes or so. Not sure if it's going to be enough to cause any significant damage, but you get winds 50, 55 miles per hour. You're right there knocking on the door of what we consider a severe thunderstorm. So there you see it. I want to take a broader view just to give you. Okay, so just a quick look at this. You can see as we step it through how those bright reds were showing up as it moved into DuPage County. Then the storm kind of split into two. And right now, they're just barely severe as they move into Cook County. We're going to give the latest to you at 10 o'clock. If we get any more tornado warnings, we'll certainly cut in and give you the latest. But right now, just a severe thunderstorm warning for Cook County until 10. For southeast, let me just show it to you really quick here. There's where you see the warnings that are in effect. And we're going to keep you updated as we head through the evening and have the latest tonight at 10.
BC and stream next day on Hulu.
Here we go.
I want to break myself.
Murder trial may be the most widely documented of its time.
Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, Leslie Van Houten, and Charlie go on trial for capital murder.
It was insanity from beginning to end. It was a circus.
It was on television every night. It was spectacle.
The trial started in 1970 and went on for almost a year.
Every day in that trial, spontaneous random acts of insanity by Manson or the three women defendants.
Manson would come in suspicious or charming, demonic or eerily, amiable. Even more shocking were the sight of the three women.
How do you feel, Miss Krenwinkel?
In these colorful dresses. Sometimes they'd be singing. The contrast between the savagery of the crime and the kind of carefree nature, it was deeply unsettling.
Every bit of it was planned out by Charles Manson.
The entire proceedings were scripted by Charlie. Every day we'd meet and he'd decide, well, today I want you each to stand up and hold your hands in some stupid symbols. You're going to get up and scream, the old gray mare. You're going to get up and burn an X in your head. You're going to go bald. And on that day, we proceeded through the events as he said it. And most of the time, we were upstairs because we'd get thrown out of court, and we'd just sit upstairs.
Outside the courtroom, the Manson girls who had not gone along on the killings, but were dedicated to him, were camped outside the courthouse. They lived there. They slept there. They were available for interviews at all times. It was a scene outside that was almost equal to what was going on inside.
There's a revolution coming very soon.
The astonishing thing is, these are people with absolute loyalty to Charles Manson, even though Manson's been in custody for months, and yet their worshipful fidelity, their absolute loyalty is unshakable.
Manson himself was uncontrollable. At one point, he leaped across the counsel table at the judge with a pencil in his hand, screaming, "Someone should cut your head off, old man."
And the bailiff tackled him in midair as he was heading towards the judge. And what we heard was that after that incident, that the judge started carrying a revolver.
I noted, for example, the coverage of the Charles Manson case.
Richard Nixon was one of the best helpers Charlie Manson had during the trial.
He was